Hey, what's up, everybody? SimDaddy here. You might be wondering why am I wearing or rocking the old and very dated United livery here. Um, this is pre-merger United Continental, of course, obviously, like mid-2000s. And the reason being, I am going to do a little series here where I take you through each and every flight I took throughout my time in the Army as best I can. Now, the truth is, some of the planes that I flew on don't exist in the game yet. Um, and so I'm just going to kind of roll with the FENIX still until I find something more viable. For example, there's going to come a time where I will fly a Dulles, Washington Dulles to Doha flight. Obviously, I can't do that in the FENIX 320, right? So I'll have to figure something else, out. But in the meantime, I'm going to start this little series. I'm going to get in the cockpit and get everything sorted and get up in the air nice and quick. This is a short little flight from Albany to Newark. Once I've got everything sorted out, I'll kind of start the story of why I'm flying out of Albany. And, I'm from New York City, so why did I fly out of Albany and come down to Newark to begin my career in the Army? And we'll just kind of go with that. It's something a little different, something a little unique. I wouldn't normally fly out of Albany much anyway. It's an interesting airport. It's close to the city. Makes for a nice little short hop. But it's just a normal run-of-the-mill airport. So to make it a little interesting, I'll tie it to some of my real-life experience and talk about it a little bit. I believe in real life I flew in an Embraer 135. And it may have even been Continental at the time. So don't even, quote me on that. But let's just go with United. I couldn't find a Continental livery. We'll just stick with this and say, hey, I was on an old United flight before the merger. So, all right, I'll go quiet, and then I'll be with you in a bit.
Airport information, Quebec 2200 Zulu. Wind 28 tree at 17. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 28. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29.89er. Visual runway 28 in use. Landing and departing runway 2.
All right, so we're about ready to roll out. I'm just gonna pull up my tug here and push back, and we'll head out to runway 28. You'll notice the flight is not long at all. I'm only getting to a flight level of 20,000 feet. Doubt I'll even be there for very many minutes. I didn't really check out my flight plan too closely, but we'll be there in no time. In fact, the little beacon of my airplane shows up on the approach plate, so we're really close. There's not going to be much time to dilly-dally once I get in the air. Let me check out how this looks over here. We'll flip it all the way around. Do something like that. Give us some time. Doesn't have to be perfect. Go with that. Request pushback, and here we go. As we start up, I'll just kind of give a little rundown of what this day was like for me back in 2007. So, since I went to college up near the Poughkeepsie area, I visited a recruiter there, right? So even though I'm from New York City, I enlisted and departed for that enlistment out of Poughkeepsie's recruiting station. And since like the closest airport there, like the closest hub, like they call it MEPS, where you kind of medically in process, and actually take your oath, is Albany. I flew out of Albany for that, so I actually had to take a train up to Poughkeepsie because I was already out of college for a month at that point and graduated. Took a train out from New York City to Poughkeepsie, and then the recruiter drove me to Albany, and I got on a plane in Albany and flew back down to Newark, which is about 10 miles from my house at the most, maybe even less. So basically I spent the night in Albany and took this flight down, and here I am. So this flight was my first leg of my trip that day. I flew down to Newark, and the next flight was Newark to Oklahoma City. So I'll be following this up with a flight to Oklahoma City, which, interestingly, there is a very nice freeware for Oklahoma City, and so I will be using that for that. Throttles at idle. Always, I'm off by a little bit. I still have to fix my detents in this. It's kind of an annoyance, but oh well. So yeah, I mean, I don't really remember this flight being very eventful when I took it. And it was, just a little hop from a not so important airport, not so important place. It is the capital of New York, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, it's kind of tiny. It has a little city center, but not much of it, and it's just surrounded by rural New York. which I miss. You know, I do miss being around that area. I miss college, but enlisting was a great experience. Looking at my departure, having me go directly to waypoint ALB after departure, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm probably going to clear that baby out, and we're going to go direct to my next waypoint, which is Alcove. Just go straight there. And notice I have some discontinuities because I was tinkering a little bit. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. So there shouldn't be anything weird about the takeoff. It should be more or less direct. I don't even know if I'll make 20,000 feet, to be frank. It's going to be close. But either way, should be a nice and enjoyable flight to Newark. I've queued up the replay feature, or the flight recorder feature, so coming out on 22 left, should have a nice little view of the New York City skyline on the left side. And I'll try and pop a replay onto the end of this and flex my very minor and amateurish video editing skills. So we'll see how that goes. No promises. And I'll be with you after we take off. Talk to you soon.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Roger. Good engine start. Clear to disconnect. See you at the side. Have a good flight.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
So there we are. Really nice. No, I am going to take it back a little bit of what I said before. Before I kind of downplayed Albany. And mind you, like, yeah, so there's the city of Albany. It ain't much, right? But, and that's the Hudson River, goes down. Poughkeepsie is kind of like the next big city, Hyde Park area, and then it goes right down into New York City, basically, and empties out where we're going to be landing. So not much to it, in spite of being the capital. But that was a really well-made airport. It had a great feel to it. And if you hear my girls in the background, I apologize. That's what's like being a sim daddy. So, that was enjoyable. And to have that Frontier bird come down at the end there, right as we were getting ready to make our way onto the active, like, that was just cool. I love little, and I don't plan for those. AIG kind of works passively. I don't know what the schedulings are. I imagine it's quite varied throughout the years, the timetables. So, like, just to have, like, that kind of stuff happen, like planes coming on final when you're getting ready to line up, I love that kind of stuff. That's what makes this sim so much fun for me. So anyway, we'll get up to flight level 200. There ain't much to do after that. I'm gonna have to get pretty much right on my my descent calculations and my planning, because you just never know. I'm gonna throw on the tail light because it should start to get a little bit darker as we get into New York, even though this is calibrated at like 6 o'clock p.m. or 6:30 p.m. or so local time. Not flying in real time anymore. I do real weather, but I've been changing up the flight times just to allow for not having to do night flights all the time, since that's when I'm flying, and if I'm flying in the States, it's typically night. So yeah, just a couple little other words about this day for me when I joined the military. It was not a hectic day by any means. I didn't join the Army under some kind of duress or something. I joined the Army because I finished college and wasn't super interested in doing anything with my degree, so I just enlisted straight up. I wasn't an officer. I enlisted as a linguist. I knew that ultimately I was going to language school out in California, which is where one of my flights will take me eventually. And so I was kind of looking forward to it, like, it was not that I needed to enlist, I just wanted to enlist. I had a very, very good relationship with my recruiter. He knew that I was not desperate for to be signed up. So he treated me like an adult. I treated him with the respect and like an adult, and he appreciated that, and the relationship was really reciprocal. Almost nothing about my experience with joining the military was like what people told me it would be, with recruiters trying to scum you over, recruiters trying to get to quotas, as much as that might be true, and I've had some recruiter friends who infer that it might be somewhat true, that they need to kind of get people signed up and get to quotas. If you're not desperate, and you don't come off as desperate, and if the Army doesn't sense that you need them to say yes, they are going to hook you up. They're going to treat you right, they're going to do right by you, and they're going to put you in a good situation. I joined at a time when we were surging in Iraq, or getting ready to surge in Iraq. So at that time, they had started to lower some standards as far as like tattoos and, just other things like criminal records, whatever. But, I went to Albany that night, the night before my enlistment, roomed with a bunch of people at a hotel there who were joining all of the branches for all different reasons, all different jobs, some not so bright, but, everyone was just a really good person. And, I think it's important to note that in the military, there's something for everybody, even in the enlisted side of things. I enlisted and wanted to enlist because, one, I had a little bit of a sniff of what officer school was like. I was a military academy student for a while. That's another story for a different day. But that didn't work out. I did ROTC for a while. I didn't really enjoy where that was headed. And I thought to myself, if I want to do something, especially after college, so like I'm going to be enlisting in my, like, not as a 17 or an 18-year-old, but as like a 23-year-old, and I'm going to be in until I'm about 30. I want to do something that's going to set me up in case I want to get out at that age and settle down somewhere. So I chose the intelligence field. My scores were really good. I aced the ASVAB. I got like one question wrong. I did really well on language tests, even though I wasn't a super stellar linguist. We'll get into that someday. I just put my head down and did what I had to do to set myself up for after the fact. So if you're considering something, if you're considering the military, start thinking about how it can be beneficial to you after you get out of the military. Even if you have plans to stay in for 20 years, there's going to come a time where, like, you get out and maybe you want to continue a second career. Retiring from the military is very infrequently the end for people. Typically, people join the military early, retire after 20 years if they go the full 20, and then they see themselves as a 38-year-old retiree who needs to get another job. So set yourself up for that success. Look into all of the options. Do what's right for you. Do what's right for you and your family. It's never too early to start planning for those realities, those eventualities. This has nothing to do with flight sim, but if you have any questions whatsoever, and I come to you as not a representative of the Army, of the military, or anything else, if you have questions and you want some frank answers, you let me know. I think the military is probably and perhaps the best option for anybody after college. That includes like full-fledged college graduates who have never thought about the military before. I think it's right. There's room for someone. There's room for everybody in the military. That's even especially more true today. And you will get something out of it if you approach it with the right mindset, much as anything, right? Including flight sim. If you approach it with an open mind of, I'm going to learn things, I'm not going to get frustrated, I'm going to appreciate the hints given to me or the critiques given to me, you're going to make something of that. You're going to make yourself better. The military, for me, was, not something I necessarily needed, but it was something that I said, hey, you know what, it's going to take me to a new place, and, that's going to give me eventually what I want. Whatever that want is, it's going to help me set myself on the path to achieve that. So with that, I'll just finish up my stuff. I'll get ready for my descent. And please, if you have questions about the military, my experience, what your experience was, if you were in the military, shoot me a comment, shoot me a like, shoot me a subscribe. I appreciate any minute of your time. A whole lot. Anyway, go Army. Hooah. All right, so a couple notes as we approach descent here. Um, I noticed a manual on my approach, and just from knowing Newark Airport myself, I kind of should have realized like what that was doing. I should have left it in. There's a chance I'll even revert to just manually going off of track for a little bit just to set up a better approach. As it stands, I'll probably be making a pretty sharp turn, leaving less than about 5 miles out. So we'll see what my speed is like around there. Usually aircraft are vectored in and they spend like a considerable amount of time like at 6,000 feet. And, they take a long approach in on 22 left coming from the north side of Jersey. In this case, we might just kind of cut our way in and just roll with whatever the MCDU has kind of set up for me. Excuse me, grabbing me some Coca-Cola, my favorite drink. But yeah, we'll just kind of see how it works. The ATIS said there's heavy rain, which is not what I was expecting per my calculations ahead of time. But that'll make for a good approach and an interesting landing. Maybe we won't see the New York City skyline, but it'll still be nice. And so yeah, we should be down in about 10 minutes, I suspect. Bring it down right now, and I'll catch you after we hit the deck, or if there's something else that comes up that we want to talk about, right? All right, see you soon.
York departure altimeter 29.89er, continue as planned. Endeavour 5245, contact Boston Center on 1 tree 2 decimal tree. Good day. One tree 2 decimal tree, Endeavour 5245. New York departure Endeavour 5245 is passing 9,900 feet, climbing flight level tree 40. Endeavour 5245 New York departure altimeter 29.89er, continue as planned. Endeavour 5245, contact New York Center on 121.125. Good day. One two one decimal 125 for Endeavour 5245. New York approach, Porter 141 is missed approach at Newark. New York departure Endeavour 5245 is passing 9,900 feet, climbing flight level tree 40. Porter 141, you are 1 tree miles southwest. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet, expect ILS runway 22 right approach via AGNSS transition. Cleared to AGNSS. Endeavour 5245 New York departure altimeter 29.88, continue as planned. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet, expect ILS runway 22 right approach via AGNSS transition, cleared to AGNSS Porter 141. Porter 141, contact New York departure on 126.4. Good day. Going to 126 decimal for Porter 141.
$2,500.
traffic, traffic.
So yeah, obviously that didn't work out. Kind of thought that might have been the case, and that's an example of be prepared for your go-arounds if you think that might happen. What I should have done was not cut that really short, like 4 mile final, and just gone manual and headed up north a lot earlier, so I could get to my proper altitude for sure, and not have to go around like this. Kind of silly. Also, like not having detents set up right and having your throttle just overall just a little bit screwy. I had an issue, like if you saw, I was finicking with it trying to get into climb mode, and I couldn't get it to climb power. But it's all good. I'll just whip it around now. Probably will go manual at some point again if it's continuing to do one of these short little finals for me, but we'll see. Looks like it's giving me a little more space in this go around, and we're going to do a little sightseeing over the city, which is pretty neat. So yeah, almost guaranteed to go manual and maybe bring it around this north side of New York here, because right now I'm probably interfering with LaGuardia a little bit. Not gonna lie. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, give you a shot when I'm done.
Transat 504 traffic is 9 o'clock, 4 miles at 3,000 feet, Boeing 767. Report them in sight.
New York approach, United 249er for heavy 10,000 feet. Visual contact Boston Center on 132 decimal tree. Good day. One tree two decimal tree Delta 420. Endeavor 5245, contact New York Center on 133 decimal 15. Good day.
2,500.
One tree decimal 15 for Endeavor 5245. New York departure Brickyard tree 676 is passing 800 feet, climbing flight level 220. Brickyard tree 676 New York departure altimeter 29er decimal 88 continue as planned.
500. Hundred above. 100. Minimum. 50. 40.
United
30.
249er for heavy. You
20.
are 7 miles
Retard.
north of Newark.
5.
Contact Newark Tower on 118
Retard.
Decimal Tree when inbound. Tower on 118 Decimal Tree. United 249er for heavy.
Well, let me at least take a minute to reflect upon that shit show. That was some fun stuff. Yeah, so I suppose like after the go around, I'm not very well versed in this kind of thing. So on the go around, after triggering it, you know, it didn't quite pick up my auto throttle as I had it prior, right? So it wasn't until very late that I realized, oh snap, I'm a little bit too fast. I have to handle this manually. And perhaps like after a go around, that's like procedure. I'm not positive. You know, someone could educate me on that a little better. Either way, so I landed a little long, a little fast, but I thought it ended up all right. I appreciated the chance to get a little bit of extra sightseeing in. That was pretty cool. Frames took a hit because of it. So you could see some of the bridges in the area like were just kind of not really rendered properly. This is default Newark. I wasn't able to find a good replacement, and I gotta say, default Newark, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not how Newark looks even close. So there ain't much to see on the way in here as far as quality scenery. And what the wow. Okay, so there's a lot going on here that's not rendering properly, probably because I'm recording straight up on the same machine.
Good day.
That's just going to happen, I guess, when you're really using all your resources, and it's just I do have some scenery loaded that is supposed to like be this port area. That's what this is. This is like the Bayonne and Newark port area where all the cranes are and they load ships up. But clearly it's just rendering like it's trying to do that Bing thing where it renders the land as well as the scenery at once, and it's kind of, you could tell it's not right. So anyway, I mean it's all good. Hopefully it's a little clearer on the way out of here when I take you on the next flight to Oklahoma City. But in the meantime, you know, it was fun. It was a nice little short hop that I made, you know, 10-15 minutes longer just by being an idiot. So yeah, I guess the lesson to take from this is if an approach doesn't feel good, if something feels wrong about it, you know, adjust it, make a change. Because I could have saved myself some time, I could have saved you some time, and it could have been a much easier flight in, right? So just make the change and you know, just roll with it and have fun. That being said, if you want to give yourself the challenge of being about 1,000 feet too high with 2 miles left on final, you know, be my guest. That's fun sometimes too, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're looking for realism here. I'm just gonna park this baby right here between these heavies, which is probably not where it would be, but I'm just gonna get this done with, and I'll pop some some replays over to you and see if that works. If you don't get replays out of this, it didn't work, and I couldn't figure it out. So you'll know soon enough, and you'll know if I did it right after this video continues after these words. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe. I appreciate any comment, any question you might have about the stuff I talked about before, about my Army experience. And I look forward to growing the channel. I haven't gotten a lot of subscriptions or likes yet, but I have gotten a lot of time watched on the videos, which is pretty cool. So hopefully this starts to reach more people, and we'll take it from there. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you soon.